is being recorded. If everybody could please turn off their mics except for those who are speaking, I would greatly appreciate it. Thank you. Teresa, the floor is yours.
Okay, officially, I am Teresa Barthol here with eXp Realty in the Northwest and just north of Seattle in Mill Creek and on the golf course. And I'm excited today to introduce you to Ted Butler, a friend I met several years ago in a senior networking group that we were in together. And he's been traveling about and moving around, and we just reconnected recently, and he's actually talking to me about how I can use this reverse mortgage for restructuring our financial position. And I'm very excited about that as well. So Ted, you are now with Mutual of Omaha, and I understand you're teaching people about this reverse mortgage all over the country.
Correct.
And you have been nothing but passionate about it since you started, and it is what you focus on. So we're excited to hear what you have to say to us. So take it away, Ted.
Wonderful. Thank you, Teresa, and hello, everybody today. I really value the opportunity. And you're right, Teresa, we have known each other for a number of years. But, you know, doesn't it really speak volumes about the fact that those bridges that we all build through our years are bridges that really deserve tending to, because they can be crossed numerous times. And Teresa, I've always been delighted to be of assistance to you in any of your endeavors. And you also spend a great deal of time and effort education-wise. And so today we're going to look at a special program of financing for seniors. And I have to pause for a moment. When we say seniors, really we're talking about boomers and beyond. And it's the HECM for purchase and jumbo for purchase that we'll be discussing. I have been doing reverse mortgages for an awfully long time as far as our industry is concerned. And I entered the reverse mortgage industry from a career in financial planning and advising. And when I learned how this program truly worked, as opposed to how I had thought that it worked or had been told that it worked, once I did my own diligence, I realized that this was a program that really deserved my full attention. So it was almost 20 years ago that I left my career as a financial advisor in Bellevue, Washington, and became devoted to teaching people about what I refer to as the modern reverse mortgage. I work out of two offices, one in Bellevue, Washington, one in Long Beach, California. And I belong to a whole bunch of associations, whether they're realtor associations. I'm a member of the Financial Planners Association. I'm a former board member for the National Association of Insurance and Financial Advisors. I graduated from their advanced leadership class, all sorts of things. Up in the Northwest, we have a noted elder law attorney that I've done a great deal of work with, and extra training through them. I even managed to fit in a weekly radio show down here in Los Angeles, and I've even been on TV. So I love teaching about the program. I've ended up with a nickname. They call me the voice of reverse mortgage, mainly because I love talking about it so much. And I am very fortunate to work for an exceptional company. I would imagine most of us already know Mutual of Omaha, and anybody that is of, let's just say, my demographic, is probably going to very much remember Sunday nights with our iconic television show, Mutual of Omaha's Wild Kingdom. And I will tell you, a brand is important, particularly when you're talking about a financial program that people may have questions about. Just the mere fact that a company such as Mutual of Omaha offers this program should give many people a tremendous amount of confidence. In fact, we are by far the largest reverse for purchase lender in the nation. And for those of you that are interested, if you do want to catch up on any of the Mutual of Omaha shows, it is being broadcast once again. There is a television station called RDF TV And if you're in a more rural area, you may be familiar with it. If not, you can find it on the internet. But what a great television show. And it's amazing when I talk with folks, the connection that they make. For those of you that may not have done so already, I'm going to encourage you to grab a pad and a pen, please, because as we go through our talk this afternoon, no doubt there are going to be people that you have either worked with in the past or you're working with currently that are going to pop into mind that this program just may be a solution for. So have your pad and pen ready. Jot down those names as you go through. That's really what this is prompted for us, is really to come up with solutions. And why are we here today? Really, it has a lot to do with what's going on out there. And because you are part of a special group of realtors, you have a focus in a special demographic. Some of this information is not going to be terribly new to you, but it's really interesting to understand that we are part of a huge movement within this country. It's called the aging of America. And between 2020 and 2060, older adults are projected to increase by 69%. That's just really great news if that happens to be a specialty area of business for you. And for those 85 and older, it's going to triple. That's really amazing demographics. And here's just a view of a chart showing when you take a look at the angle of increase, it is the highest growing segment of our population in the country. And I tell you, as far as the real estate industry is concerned, and in our industry, of course, it really is a serious growth area. And it's just going to continue. Like they say, for the next 20 years, people are retiring at a rate of 10,000 a day. Just amazing. But as wonderful as that news is, as far as the increase in demographic, some of the news isn't so great in other regards, and you may have come across this with some of your clients. Housing wealth may be all that some of these folks have at this point in their lives. One of the saddest figures is the median savings at age 61 is $17,000. We've tried to save as a nation. We've tried to encourage people, but it's been difficult. Very often life just gets in the way. And when we talk to financial planners, it's interesting, of course, quite understandably, their number one fear of the clients that they work with is running out of money in retirement. And so how they go about handling the purchase of their largest transaction, their home, can play a critical role in their ability to not only survive, but thrive in retirement. What else is going on? Well, if you haven't heard, the housing market is booming in most areas of the United States. In the area where Teresa and I live, the median home value in Seattle is now $750,000, which is just quite amazing. Across the lake, where I grew up in Bellevue, 1.7 million. Just absolutely amazing. And it's really having an impact. A lot of people are finding that they have substantial housing wealth that they can take advantage of. And then this is a graphic that I found very interesting. More than 2/3 of retirees have either moved or are anticipating moving at this point in their lives. Again, a very encouraging sign for our demographic. And these are some of the more popular reasons that people tend to move: to be closer to family. Some people move to reduce expenses, health, empty nest, access cash, etc. But one of the things that I find very interesting is that we hear the word downsizing over and over and over, it seems like, but that's not really what's happening. Only 51% of people are downsizing in retirement. That leaves the other half that are buying homes of equal size or even greater. So when I talk about this change, usually I refer to it as right sizing. Whatever is going to be the fit for that individual. And they're moving to be closer to family and friends. If you listen to next week's radio show that I have on Saturday, you're going to hear a very funny story about a family that's actually moving away from their children. But you know, wherever you are in the country, a lot of the reasons are the same. A lot of people are moving from larger homes to single level homes. A lot of people are deciding that now's the time to have their dream home in retirement. And this is what I ask folks that I teach. Put all options on the table when you're working with your clients. They may come to you with a specific financing tool in mind, whether it's cash or a conventional mortgage. But really, as you're laying out a strategy for what their next step is going to be, I think it really benefits everyone for them to be fully informed about what their options are so they can take a look and balance and measure what the impact of paying cash for a house is, what the impact paying or buying a house with a conventional mortgage, and then put on the table also what the reverse for purchase might look like. And give them the opportunity to fully understand the impact of those choices. With a reverse for purchase, one of the things as a financial advisor that we focused on with our clients was something called time value of money. What could that money be doing for the client in addition to its primary task? Can that money be doing more than one thing? And as you may realize, if you pay cash for a house, yes, you have no monthly mortgage payment, but now you just have put a substantial amount of capital into an investment or an asset that is now illiquid. You'll either have to sell the house to gain access to it, or you'll have to take on monthly mortgage payments typically to have access to that money. But with a reverse mortgage, you get the best of both worlds. You can buy a house like you were paying cash and not have a monthly mortgage payment, but you get to keep proceeds so you can use that to supplement your income in retirement. And I always start really trying to address questions and fears and preconceptions. And I will tell you, as a financial advisor myself, I used to have a very negative view of reverse mortgage. And many people, if they don't have a negative view, let's say they have some serious questions about it. So we're going to spend a moment talking about my favorite animal, and that's the elephant in the room. And it doesn't matter if I'm teaching realtors or financial planners or homeowners, I'd like to do just a brief exercise. Now, I'm not going to ask you to stand up and stretch or anything like that. Well, maybe stretch your mind a little bit. I like to have us practice something called open mindedness. And this came to us from George Bernard Shaw. He said that those who can't change their minds can't change anything. And if you march to the beat of a different drummer, it was Frank Zappa who said a mind is like a parachute. It doesn't work if it's not open. And I will tell you, over and over again, I run across situations where people are not willing to be wrong in order to be right. They think they believe or they understand or know something, and so they're not going to take the time to actually slow down enough to get the facts. I'm going to encourage you, as you're working with your folks, be patient, be kind, be understanding, but realize that once people get the facts about this incredible program, their perspectives change dramatically. Here is just some reminders about the reverse mortgage. Let's see if I can move. Oh, thank goodness. Okay. It's a mortgage. I think it's really important to understand that this is not a handout program. The government isn't giving anybody anything. They created the program. They administer and insure it. But they basically just have created a super duper special mortgage program exclusively for older Americans. It's also important to understand that the homeowner retains title to that house. That's one of the most common misconceptions, that somehow you sign the house away to the bank or the government. Along with title, though, you get full rights and responsibilities of home ownership. Very important to understand that as a homeowner, you still have to do things like pay property taxes and homeowners insurance and HOA fees. And you can pay off this loan at any point. There's never a prepayment penalty. And when the last title holder passes, The house isn't going to go to the bank. It isn't going to go to the government. It's going to go to their heirs, just like it would with a conventional mortgage, except unlike with a conventional mortgage, HUD is going to give the heirs who inherit a home with a reverse mortgage 6 to 12 months to determine what they want to do with the property. There is no other mortgage that gives the heirs that type of latitude at the end to deal with whatever it is that they need to deal with, whether it's a grieving process or they have to get the house ready for sale, or they've got to get the financing together, or heaven forbid, it happens so often, they're fighting. I can't tell you how often I get called into situations, estate issues, just trying to help people understand the reverse mortgage. If you guys ever have questions about that, I know that I'll be more than happy to help shed some light and give some insight there. And people somehow get the idea that the reverse mortgage may end at some point. Well, it does, but how about this? The reverse mortgage isn't going to end for somebody as long as they're living in their home until they reach age 150. Now, I know particularly areas like Florida, they have a very high age of some of their residents, but that's a pretty lofty goal to shoot for, 150 years. You can live in your home with a reverse mortgage, no matter what happens to home values, no matter what happens to your mortgage balance, no matter what happens to the money you had available from your reverse mortgage, you can live there until you turn age 150. So again, the general misconceptions, you're never gonna, we call them the four nevers. You're never gonna give up title to your home. You're never gonna owe more than the home is worth. These are non-recourse loans, 100% FHA insured. You never have to move, even if the loan is worth more than the home, and you never have to make a payment on principal or interest. And it's not just a mortgage. This isn't something created by the banks for the banks. This was created by the Department of Housing and Urban Development in 1987. And it was so successful in 1988, then President Ronald Reagan signed this into law. So what we have today is not just a mortgage, we have an actual federal law created by HUD, administered and insured by the Federal Housing Administration, but the government does not lend money to regular folks. They put that in the hands of banks like Mutual of Omaha to lend. What happened though prior to 1986, reverse mortgages began in the United States back in the early 60s. And yes, old bank style created reverse mortgages got a fairly well-deserved bad reputation. But you have to remember, the government made those illegal in 1987 and replaced it with their own government version with all the protection and guarantees squarely oriented to the senior consumer. But many of you can relate to the fact that this is something that my parents taught me a long time ago, and that is a bad reputation is very easy to gain and very difficult to get rid of. And the reverse mortgage is a poster program for that. So HUD created this using actuarial science and social experts. They were trying to solve a dilemma that you get to deal with on a daily basis, and that is aging Americans. We're getting older and living longer, and nobody ever expected that people would be retired for 30 years or more, but that's what's happening today. And most traditional financial plans never accounted for that. And so HUD wanted to create a program that allowed seniors access to what had become, for most of them, their largest, if not their only investment, that is the home that they lived in, with their goal to age in place, not age in a facility. And it is a program that has gained momentum more and more and more. It is a revenue neutral program. It doesn't cost the government anything. The insurance is paid for by the consumer. And the government, again, isn't giving anybody anything. They're just allowing a certain kind of mortgage to be given to this certain demographic. One of the things I appreciate so much about this program is that it is an incredible expression of independence and self-reliance and self-sufficiency. And many people of our and older generation are fiercely independent. They do not want to be dependent on the government. They do not want to be dependent on their children. They want to continue to manage their own affairs for as long as possible. And I liken this to what they teach us on the airplane. Now, I happen to fly a lot, but I'm always amazed when they go through the safety demonstration at the front of the plane and they talk about what happens in case of an emergency. And that's usually the oxygen masks fall from the ceiling and whose mask they tell you to put on first. Most people, it's amazing how many people say your children, your neighbors, etc. No, you put your mask on first, because if you aren't taking care of yourself, not only can you not help those around you, but now you become part of the problem. And I liken the reverse mortgage simply to be like an oxygen mask for people in retirement. How does it work? Well, different than a conventional mortgage, your buyer is going to be they're going to qualify based on their age. Number one of them has to be at least 62 years of age. The older the borrower, the more they're going to qualify for. They're going to look at either the value of the property or the down payment, and then a third factor, the interest rate that's used. That's it. We're not looking at their credit score. We're not looking at their income, because we're not worried about trying to have them make a monthly mortgage payment. We're worried about longevity with this program. So HUD is fairly conservative with what they're going to allow the homeowner to actually borrow. But those three factors are going to determine what we call the principal limit. And if they meet those criteria, the consumer, the homeowner, the home buyer will pick whether they want a fixed rate option, a variable rate option, a jumbo option, and it is the home buyer that actually chooses the interest rate. They qualify for all interest rates for the reverse mortgage. Doesn't matter if they have 820 credit or 620 credit, they all qualify for the same interest rates. And now some like the lowest interest rate, some like the highest interest rate. Each have pros and cons depending on the version of the program. I'm going to take a second right now, and I am going to introduce you to Jack and Diane, because they do a great job of explaining how this process works from here. So hopefully this is going to turn on. Yep. Now I have to take my glasses off. And there we go. Okay. Come to us, Jack and Diane. Come on, Jack and Diane. We're almost here. Closer. Okay, I think we are ready.
I want to talk to you about a couple named Jack and Diane. Jack and Diane are nearing retirement in the house they've lived in for the last 25 years that no longer fits their active adult lifestyle. They really want a single-story home with an upgraded kitchen and a low-maintenance yard that's located close.
Ted, can you put it a little bit louder?
They looked online and found the perfect active adult community that checked all of their boxes. The problem is that they haven't been home shopping for over 20 years, and taking out a mortgage while on a fixed income in retirement causes concern. Jack and Diane have $250,000 from the sale of their previous home, and they're planning on using this cash to purchase their new home. They don't want to tap into their retirement accounts, so they're not sure if they can buy the home they really want. Jack and Diane contact you with a budget of $250,000, and they are excited to buy their next dream home. Unfortunately, at that price and with limited inventory, you can't find anything that satisfies their wish list. To find their perfect home with a $400,000 purchase price that checks all their boxes is way outside their budget. Their dreams quickly turn to disappointment. To make matters worse, you lost the opportunity to sell a home to a very motivated buyer. This is where the story ends for most people. After all, there's no way they can buy this home. Or is there? Until today, you may have felt that there's no way to sell a home to aging boomers who don't have enough to pay cash, especially when they don't want a mortgage payment during their retirement years. However, there is one little known strategy that most realtors aren't aware of. Instead of Jack and Diane moving on as a lost opportunity, you can now show them how they can afford to buy the home that has everything they're looking for. The Home Equity Conversion Mortgage for Purchase, or H4P for short, is designed for buyers ages 62 plus and requires a one-time down payment of roughly 50% of the purchase price and can increase their purchasing power. Jack and Diane really can purchase their dream home valued at $400,000 for a one-time down payment of only $190,000. So not only can they purchase a home with you, but they also have $60,000 left over to supplement their savings. Do you want to sell more homes with no pushback on price? Do you want to gain a competitive advantage over other agents in your market and convert lost opportunities into closed sales? How about all of the above? Contact us today to learn why we're the nation's largest H4P lender with loan specialists in 48 states. We're here to help you turn lost opportunities into sales.
Thank you,
I want
Jack
to talk to
and
you about a
Diane.
couple named Jack and Diane.
See if I can get back to where we were. Okay. Well, that's probably one of the easiest ways that I can help illustrate the general concept of this. And there's two ways when I work with realtors that we can help you with this puzzle. One is if your home buyers have a purchase price in mind, as long as you can provide us their ages, we can tell you what their down payment requirement would be. Or if they come to you with a certain amount of cash available and you provide their ages, then we can calculate for you what that down payment would translate into for a purchase price. The types of properties that we can use this on, 1 to 4 unit properties, manufactured homes after 1976, condos, they must be FHA approved. If they're not currently approved, we have a department within Mutual of Omaha, and all they do is help associations with their condo approval, and we do not charge for that service. It's a very popular service that's used quite a bit. Townhouses, PUDs, even properties held in a living trust. I will tell you, when you're talking about 1 to 4 unit properties, because I do a lot of work with financial planners, one of the ideas that financial planners like so much about using the reverse for purchase is they can take a client who has, let's say, a large house and have them not buy another house, but have them buy a duplex or a triplex or a fourplex. And then their client will live in one of the units and rent out the other 1, 2, or 3 units for income, because to find a way to create income in retirement and not have any carrying cost is a huge win for a financial advisor. It's such a great idea that that's actually what I'm planning on doing. Is I'm going to purchase at some point, hopefully a fourplex, using the reverse for purchase, live in 1 unit and rent out the other 3. To do the reverse for purchase, we're going to ask you to give us a 30-day close. We are excellent at meeting our close dates. And you may be familiar with any FHA loan, we have to have an FHA mandatory clause signed. We do a lot with new construction. We have programs set up with most of the major builders out there. They are aware of this program and they love this program, mainly because they end up selling about 15% more homes. And the homes that they sell with this program tend to be much higher profit homes, because the consumer that buys with the reverse for purchase is literally paying for any of their upgrades at 50 cents on the dollar. And so they are the ones that are more than likely going to be buying all of the upgrades when they purchase that home. Very important profit factor for any builders that you might be working with. If it sounds too good to be true, just wait, because it does get better, because there is a version of the reverse for purchase called the jumbo reverse for purchase. And while in a lot of our areas, million or multi-million dollar homes may be a stretch, but there are a lot of them out there, especially on the coasts. And you can use this program to purchase a multi-million dollar home. It's one of my favorite things to do, because that home buyer really typically understands money mechanics, and they want their money doing more than one thing for them. The jumbo reverse mortgage, you have to be at least 60 years of age, so younger than the FHA reverse mortgage, and they can borrow up to $4 million. So we're talking home values, easily $5, $6, $7, $8 million purchases with a $4 million down payment, no monthly mortgage payment. Now the jumbo purchase is going to take 60 days to close. All homes over $2 million require 2 appraisals. The second appraisal the investor pays for. But it's amazing. It's for those folks that are maybe moving to an area. I just had a borrower move from North Carolina here to Southern California. They sold their house for $250,000. They were in shock when they got here to see that a nice house would cost them about $1 million. But this was a program that they could take advantage of. And then there's other folks that have the cash, but they just don't want to put all their cash into a new house. Maybe they want to buy a multi-million dollar house and a really nice boat. And again, no monthly mortgage payment. And there's 2 ways that I typically work with clients using the jumbo reverse. This is a scenario that we call the stretch. Somebody comes with let's say a $1.5 million budget. They're looking at houses, but you know how often this is. They keep asking about that higher value house. Well, how about that one over there? Well, that's $2 million. That's not in your budget. Well, with this program, you could accommodate them. You can expand their buying parameters, and they can buy a $2 million home if they come to you with $1.5 million. This is what it would look like with the jumbo reverse. At age 65, they'd have to put down 1.1 million. And at age 75, again, the older they are, the less they have to put down. They'd be putting down 939,000. And boy, that means they get to keep a lot of cash in their pocket for all sorts of other things. And this is somebody, again, on that end of the spectrum, they have the $4 million cash, but wouldn't it be great if they could buy that $4 million cash for 1.8 to 2.1 million, and they keep another $2 million cash in their pocket that they can do whatever they want to do with, and again, not have a monthly mortgage payment. It's very powerful, very persuasive, and we don't expect you to go this road alone. We are here at Mutual of Omaha to help you along the way. We have outstanding collateral material. One of my favorite tools is this open house flyer that we have that we can co-brand with you. And we pull the information from the MLS. We'll pull the pictures, the description, and then we create a little schematic that is going to show at different ages what the down payment would be for that specific purchase price. You just leave those out on the counter. You'll be amazed at how many people pick it up and give you a call. We've got a great CRM tool that you can take advantage of. And for any of those who would like to see some of this collateral material, it is second to none in the industry. And it's such a relief for a realtor to know that they don't have to try and remember all of this, and they don't have to be the one to try and explain it. All you need to do is hand them one of our booklets, for instance, the Home Buyer Guide, an outstanding lifestyle piece that thoroughly explains what this opportunity would look like. And if you would like a copy of it, you guys, please write down my email address. It's tbutler@mutualmortgage.com. Again, tbutler@mutualmortgage.com. And I will be happy to send you a digital version of that booklet. And then we have another one specifically to realtors, and then another one that helps you communicate this opportunity with builders. But I'm going to encourage you, get this digital booklet. It's something that's easy for you to forward on to your prospects, and you'll be amazed at how it opens up doors. And then we can help you beyond that. I know most parts of the country, we have an issue with inventory. There's just not enough people wanting to list their homes right now. And for many folks, it comes down to affordability. Many people in America today simply cannot even purchase the home that they're living in right now because home values have so outpaced income. And it's a dilemma because people aren't going to sell their house and buy down usually. But we can help you strategize and find pockets of potential listings based on certain parameters that will allow you to develop targeted marketing campaigns for people that are predisposed to make that step. These are going to be people who've been in their homes for a certain period of time, people who have larger homes that more than likely the children have left and now they are definitely empty nesters, but they're comfortable where they are and they don't feel they can afford to purchase that next home, either because they don't have the income for the mortgage or they don't think they have enough equity. Again, email me at tbutler@mutualmortgage.com and I will help you put together lists in your area that literally will help you discover listings. And nothing is more fun than to help motivate somebody who's on the fence thinking that they can't afford to sell their current home. You give them a vision of what this program can allow them to do, and all of a sudden you end up with 2 transactions. Just marvelous. And everybody wins in that situation. You win, your company wins, and of course the home buyer wins because they're now in a home that they want to live in. Again, we're here to help you. We're here to guide you. We don't expect you to be the experts in this program. Allow me to do that. I have team members across the country that are expert in the HECM or reverse or jumbo for purchase. And I only make one request from the realtors that I work with when I do a class. And that is, please don't let any of your clients 62 or over purchase a new home without putting this option on the table. From a financial planning perspective, paying cash for a house in retirement, well, I'm not going to say it's suicide, but it is the most expensive way somebody can buy a house. Yes, they're not going to have a monthly mortgage payment, but they've just sunk a huge amount of their otherwise liquid capital into an illiquid asset, where in retirement, it's all about liquidity. You need income in retirement. So with that, I'm going to stop and open it up. And Teresa or Dawn, do you guys want to moderate and see if there's any questions? If people want to pop questions into the chat box or just verbally communicate questions?
Feel free to open up your mics, anybody who has a question.
I have a question. Has any one of you used a reverse in a purchase transaction?
I have used them extensively.
Outstanding. And how have you found them?
I learned about it in 2010 and I use it a lot here in the villages. My biggest challenge and my question to you is, we run into, Mom, I don't want you to do that because you won't have anything at the end, meaning I won't get anything. And how do you overcome that problem?
Okay, and that's a great question. And we get to deal with that an awful lot. A lot of times children, well-meaning or otherwise, put that doubt or fear in a parent's mind. This is how we get around it. Number one, HUD created this program to be safe, and they created it to retain a substantial cap of equity over time. We can show you with a simple amortization schedule that even modest home appreciation, I mean like 4% home appreciation, will mean that mom will have not only as much equity that she had when she started using the reverse, but she'll have even more equity in the home 5, 10, 15 years down the road. And that's the way it works for the majority of people who use this program. The only time it doesn't work is when the real estate market takes away from everybody. And it doesn't matter if you have a reverse mortgage or not at that point. If the real estate market goes down, it takes away equity from everybody. But we can show a simple amortization schedule that will prove to them quantifiably that even modest home appreciation means that they're going to have more equity in the home when mom passes away in 15 years than she would, heaven forbid, she were to pass away today. But bravo for being an early adopter. Yeah, the reverse for purchase was created in 2000. I was very fortunate to be part of the team that worked very hard to convince the Department of Housing and Urban Development that a tool that had been only used for refinance at that point really could and should be allowed for purchase. And it's marvelous, and I'm delighted that you've been using it since then. That's tremendous. Does that give you some ammunition, Deb?
Yes, and that's what I use because we do have 5% or more appreciation. And that's what I tell them, as long as I'm keeping up with whatever our interest rate is,
Yeah.
we're more than outdoing. But they're looking at it as a financial win at the end is what it's about.
Yep.
One thing that I'd bring up too is I've had situations where a spouse dies and the remaining spouse feels like they cannot afford to stay in the house.
Mhm.
They have chosen quite a few times for me to move into what they call a more comfortable house for this situation now, but use the HECM loan. And that takes that fear away.
Yep. I do a lot of HECM purchases from folks who have a HECM or a reverse mortgage on their existing home. And for those of you that may not be familiar with that term that we just tossed around, HECM stands for Home Equity Conversion Mortgage. That is the technical name of the modern reverse mortgage. That's what HUD called it. It was called the Home Equity Conversion Mortgage Demonstration Act of 1987. It's a mouthful. So they call it a HECM today or reverse for purchase. But yeah, when I work with financial planners and I show them this chart that I have that shows, yes, you're gonna have a mortgage balance that's going to grow slightly every month because of the increase in balance. But let's say you've got an interest rate of 4%, which is like 1 3/4% higher than it is today, and you have only home appreciation of 4%. The illustration that really turns light bulbs on for my financial planners is that 4% growth on the outstanding balance is half of the growth of the 4% growth on the full value. So you're going to have twice the rate of growth on the upper delta, the home value, as you will on the lower delta, the mortgage balance. And you can show them that ever widening equity gap. It really does give them a lot of reassurance.
Hey, Ted.
Yes.
And hey, this is Jennifer.
Hello, Jennifer.
Hi, nice to meet you guys. So I'm a new agent. I'm still working more than full-time on my regular job. I'm trying to retire this summer. So for me, in order to help out the seniors with this reverse mortgage and all the other things, I need to learn myself first because I'm not quite understanding. When I first heard reverse mortgage, I felt like somebody's ripping people off. So
No.
where can I go to learn more about this?
Well, I'll be happy to teach you everything you need to learn. Teresa knows that I do a lot of seminars, or at least I used to until COVID shut that down, but I do online seminars. I have a website called Reverse Mortgage TV, where you can watch one of my seminars. But within a short amount of time, you'll be able to get the foundational understanding of the program. here's one website that I'm going to refer you to, and all of you write this down. I have a fabulous website, and that's great. But go to www.hud.gov, HUD.gov, G-O-V, not com, not info, HUD.gov, G-O-V. That is the entity that created the program. In their search box, type in reverse mortgage, and it will take you right to everything you need to know, everything your client needs to know, straight from the horse's mouth. Now, I'm going to tell you, there's no fancy pictures. It's not like Robin Leach with the lifestyles and rich and famous. They're not trying to picture you on golf courses and yachts and that sort of thing. But it is good, well laid out, easy to understand information that will take you from A to Z, why the program was created, the safeguards that are put into it, how it works. And then a very critical step with the reverse mortgage is that no one can do a reverse mortgage without first having completed an independent third-party HUD counseling session. All right. So I cannot do a loan for Teresa, let's say, until she and Michael complete this counseling session, where the HUD counselor, first and foremost, is going to confirm that the homework that I've given them, all of the numbers, the interest rates, fees, and costs, the HUD counselor is going to be able to confirm that all of that is accurate and true. No pig in a poke, no smoke and mirrors. They're going to be able to confirm that what you've been presented by your lender is true and accurate. They're also going to make sure that you know what your responsibilities are, what you have to do when you get into the loan, what happens at the end. The HUD counselor even goes so far as to go over with you what your other options are, and then you get a diploma. It says that Jennifer has completed the required counseling and now may move forward with the reverse mortgage. Doing the counseling doesn't commit your buyer to use the reverse mortgage or commit you to use the reverse mortgage, but you have this assurance that nobody can do a reverse mortgage without this independent third-party HUD counseling session. And I will tell you, it gives people such reassurance that what they're getting is the straight skinny. I'm, in my radio show where I borrow a lot from people like Sean Hannity and other folks. It's a no spin zone, no fake news, just the facts. And it's so comforting to know that when I talk to somebody, they're going to go off to a HUD counselor who's going to be able to verify for them, what I've told them. And the consumer really loves that assurance. And Jennifer, you will as well. So there's a fair amount to learn. And I really encourage people to get their facts so they can make a fully educated decision. It is not a ripoff. It is the safest mortgage in America by far. I mean, not even a question. 100 times safer than a conventional mortgage.
Ted, we
Yep.
have another question in the chat room here, where
Good.
Martha Matthews says that she said she checked into it for her house, and the lender said that it would work better if she was over 70. And then there's another one that talks about, do you and your spouse have to be over 62?
Okay. So it sounds as if this lender is partially correct. The older you are, the more you qualify for with the reverse mortgage. That is one of 3 factors, age. But the age component is minimal in this algorithm that HUD uses. They're going to use the age of the youngest title holder, they're going to use the value of the property, and they're going to use the available interest rate. Those 3 numbers go into this little calculation that determines what you qualify for. And while the older you are, the more you qualify for, the number 1 factor, the one that has the biggest weight, is the home value, followed by the interest rate, followed by age. And just when I was a financial advisor, the sooner you put the reverse mortgage in place, the better it is going to work for you. There is absolutely no scenario where it's better to wait. Waiting just means that you're at greater risk. Why? What risk? What is the risk of waiting? Ask your lender, or ask the conventional person you were talking to, what are interest rates going to be like when you turn 70? That would have a devastating effect. If interest rates go up a couple percentage points, you'll lose tens of thousands of dollars that you qualify for. What happens if home value should correct by the time you're 70? There's another huge chunk of money that could be gone from you. Yeah, we've never found an instance where waiting until you're a higher age is better. And the question that Teresa followed that up with, as long as one of the spouses is at least 62, you can do the reverse mortgage. Now, the underage spouse would be considered what they call a non-qualifying borrower, but they'll still be protected, meaning if the primary should pass away, the remaining spouse can continue to live in the home. And yeah, at least one of them has to be 62 on the FHA. One of them has to be at least 60 on the jumbo. Unless they live in Canada. In Canada, you have to be 55. In Australia, you have to be 50. See, we're only one of 15 developed nations that uses the reverse mortgage. They're very popular in many other countries, but we're the only country that has a stigma attached to it. Any other questions?
So is there people that are, because I've heard, and I don't know too much about it, if in the case where one spouse or the other passes away, that all of a sudden there is this rush to change things up because of this reverse mortgage. But everything I've heard so far, there shouldn't be any rush to do that. Is that correct?
That is correct. If they had a conventional mortgage, oh my gosh, there'll be a rush. But
Yeah.
in a reverse mortgage, even like we talked about, if somebody was not part of the loan, if they were a non-borrowing spouse, they were too young to participate, the Department of Housing and Urban Development grants an exception to that non-borrowing spouse, allowing them to continue to live in the home for the rest of their lives without having to worry about repayment of the loan. Yeah, yeah. But if they're both part of the loan and one spouse passes before the other, absolutely no change whatsoever. The remaining spouse continues to live in the house as long as they choose. And the loan is repaid typically at 2 points in time. Now, a lot of people say that they like to, spend their dying days in their house and be carried out feet first in a pine box. I have a lot of my folks tell me that's it. They're going to be there when they die. The reality is that 80% of us are not going to be in our house when we pass away. We will be in a facility of some sort. So HUD created the program to keep people in their own homes for as long as possible. So if the last remaining title holder has had to move out of the house and they've been living out of the house for 12 continuous months, HUD is going to require that the reverse mortgage be paid off. It was designed to keep them at home, not to keep them in a facility. And I tell folks, the vast majority of people anyway, if they were moving to assisted living, one of the first things they would do is sell their house anyway, because they're going to need that money to pay for their care typically. But yeah, it's interesting about children sometimes. Sometimes it's a real heartbreak. But the great thing is that the facts are on our side. And when you present the facts to them and you show them empirically, black and white, what the numbers show, a lot of that fear and apprehension falls away. Most people's negative reaction to the program come from fear and lack of understanding. And it doesn't matter whether I'm talking to financial professionals. And remember, I was one of those people. I was paid to give people financial advice. And I used to have a double thumbs down view on the reverse mortgage, only because I listened to my peers instead of getting the actual information. And once I went to HUD and FHA, and at that point, a company called Financial Freedom, they were the largest reverse mortgage lender at the time. What happened to me was, well, this is what happened to me. I became incredibly embarrassed, number one, that I had been parroting misinformation. Nothing made me feel more uncomfortable than to tell people something that later turned out not to be correct. And even though it was well intended, I was relying on the opinion of my esteemed peers. It was a terrible feeling as a professional, and it affected me deeply. It affected me so much that I realized that what had been placed on my heart was the ability to take my financial planning background and combine it with what I was being taught about the reverse mortgage to help people fully understand the impact of this as a financial planning tool. It's a brilliant financial planning tool. It is amazing how people use this in retirement. And my favorite way to use it is the reverse repurchase. It just makes so much sense in so many ways. And it's interesting. Our industry did a double-blind study a couple of years ago where we had two groups of people. One group was given the reverse repurchase, all of the parameters, how it worked, without the name. They made up some name for it. And then they compared it to a conventional mortgage. And then they asked people at the end which program they preferred. 85% of the people chose the reverse mortgage. We took those people and then we peeled the label off and said that, this is the home equity conversion mortgage for purchase. Without anything else, that 85% dropped to 15%. Even though they had the facts in front of them, as soon as they heard the words reverse mortgage, they said, oh no, well, even though we see the evidence, we still feel that this may not be a safe choice. That's our greatest challenge, is just misinformation and getting people to be brave enough to do the diligence. And it's funny, when I teach financial planners, we talk about our challenges and stumbling blocks. And people say, Ted, well, what is your biggest challenge with the reverse mortgage? And I tell them quite simply, it's pride. Pride in people not willing to be wrong in order to be right. I think it was Mark Twain who said that one of the most dangerous things is a man who believes that they're right. But I've also been given the opportunity to allow myself to practice grace and realize that you're not going to be able to convince everybody. And I don't go about what I do in an evangelical way. I do believe that the message is going to literally fall on the ears that need to hear it, the eyes that need to see it. And you're not going to win every time with everybody that you put this solution out in front of. But I will tell you, as you put this solution out there and you see what it can do for you, I mean, Debbie, I would imagine, and Donald, you've used this program, correct?
Yes.
I would imagine that you have some pretty amazing stories about what this has allowed some of your home buyers.
Yeah. I just want to honor everybody's time. It's now after 8 o'clock on the East Coast. Ted, thank you very much for your time and your wisdom and your knowledge in this area. Definitely an interesting topic for those who haven't used the HECM loan. You really need to look into it deeper. It's a great product, a great solution for many seniors out there that are looking to get into even sometimes their first home. So thank you very much, Ted.
Can we get a phone number from him?
Yep. Are you ready with your pencils?
Yep.
425-891-6644. 425-891-6644. Call me anytime. I don't care how big or small your questions are. I'll be more than happy to answer them for you or help you explore them. And Jennifer, one of the best things to do is see how the reverse mortgage looks for yourself personally. And for many of you, if you're 62 or over, it's a very interesting exercise, and Teresa can attest to that as well. So guys, thank you very much for the opportunity. Hope you have a wonderful evening.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ted.
Thank you, everyone, for coming. Have a great evening.
Bye-bye.
See you next week.
Thank you very much.